At the same time, I'm watching my daughter being watched by the entire world. Everybody was watching my daughter. Disagree, of course, and she might even sue me. I don't care. But the bottom line is, it seems to me she's working hard. I'm 75 years old, so it's time to...
Oh my goodness, can you believe this? Thomas Markle has just dropped a statement that could flip everything we thought we knew about Meghan Markle right on its head. And here's the kicker. It's not some random rumor. No, darling, this comes straight out of the dusty pages of a 1997 magazine. Can you even imagine? For over 25 years, this detail sat quietly in plain sight, gathering dust, while we all paraded around believing Meghan's story to be neat, polished, and perfectly wrapped. But Thomas, her own father, is now pointing to something that could change it all. When a dad goes public, questioning his daughter's story, you just know sparks are about to fly. And trust me, this revelation has the power to completely reshape the way we view Meghan's journey.
A scandal nobody saw coming. What if the headlines you've been scrolling through missed the juiciest?
And it all starts right here. Page 90, March 1997, 17 magazine. Can you believe it? Buried in a teen magazine, between giggly quizzes about your dream prom dress and celebrity gossip of the era, lies a bombshell detail about Meghan. It's almost poetic, something so earth-shaking hidden in such an ordinary place. And it makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other secrets are buried in the archives just waiting for someone nosy enough or brave enough to find them?
The heart-wrenching plea that captivated the world. Imagine a man holding a faded photo of his...
Picture this, a group of online sleuths browsing through vintage magazines, probably looking for nostalgia, maybe Britney Spears posters or 90s fashion spreads, and suddenly, wham! There it is, one tiny line that makes your heart skip. Meghan Markle, listed as 21 years old. Excuse me, what? At first you'd think it's just a typo, right? Something you'd flip past without a second glance. But oh no, this tiny reference tucked between teen beauty tips is the little spark that set off a wildfire of speculation.
I want you to react to a couple of comments from Prince Harry over the past 24 hours as well.
Now here's where it gets spicy. Officially, Meghan was born in August 1981. That would make her only about 15 or 16 in March 1997. Not 21, not even close. We're talking about a 6-year gap. 6 years. Do you know how much life happens in 6 years? First loves, college applications, jobs, milestones, everything shifts. And suddenly people started asking, why the massive discrepancy? How does a teenage girl become 21 on paper? In a national magazine, no less. This wasn't some shady online post. It was in print, on shelves, verified. And that's exactly what makes this detail so electrifying.
What if everything we thought we knew about Meghan Markle was wrong? What if behind the fairy tale wedding?
Think about it. Magazines back then weren't careless blogs. They had editors, fact-checkers, entire teams combing through every word. So how did something so wildly different slip through? And more importantly, why? When you're dealing with someone tied to the British monarchy, where every birth, every date, every certificate is carefully filed, stamped, and guarded, even the tiniest mismatch is enough to send shockwaves through the system. And now, years later, people are gasping, whispering, dissecting this discrepancy like it's the hottest tea in town.
She just woke up one day in a new world and decided that she doesn't have any family.
I believe.
Because here's the truth. The monarchy runs on precision. Dates, records, certificates, they're sacred. They don't just not match. They're cross-checked, announced, verified, preserved. So when something doesn't align, darling, the questions start piling up. And what makes this all the more delicious? This little bombshell sat unnoticed, untouched for decades until some curious researchers finally unearthed it. Can you imagine the thrill of being the person who stumbled upon it?
The longer she stays quiet, one columnist wrote, the more it looks like there's something to hide. That perception created a feedback loop.
There it was, hiding in magazine archives, waiting for someone to connect the dots. And now that Thomas Markle has stepped in, well, honey, you know the game has changed. Ever since 2018, Thomas has been airing his side of the story like it's his new full-time job. At first, it felt like a dad just wanting to be heard, but over time, he's become a staple in royal news coverage, popping up with new revelations and memories like clockwork. And let's be honest, every time he speaks, the world stops to listen. He's been brutally open about his feelings, about Meghan, about their relationship, about how it all unraveled. He's not vague either. Oh no, Thomas brings receipts in the form of memories, dates, milestones. He's not telling fairy tales, he's sharing what he claims are the raw details of her life, the timeline as he lived it. And that, darling, is exactly why people can't stop listening. And here's where it gets even juicier. Thomas hasn't just been talking, he's been practically begging for a stage to tell his truth. He said it outright. If needed, he's ready to sit down in a formal setting and spill what he remembers. Can you even picture that? A father testifying about his own daughter's history, correcting timelines, dragging skeletons out of closets. That confidence, oh, it says so much. This isn't just small talk over a cup of tea. This is a man who believes his memory, his version of events, is the one that counts. And it's not just vague mutterings either. Thomas zeroes in on dates, birthdays, milestones, specifics. He doesn't just shrug and say, "Oh, I think it was around then." No, darling. He paints pictures. He recalls exact times, family gatherings, events that, in his eyes, don't line up with the glossy official narrative Meghan has presented to the world. And that's why his statements keep blowing up the headlines, because it's not the ramblings of a bitter dad, it's a father armed with timelines. And yet, the strangest part, instead of fading away after the royal wedding, his presence has only gotten louder. What started as an emotional dad trying to patch things up has turned into a man with a microphone, giving the world updates about his daughter like he's her unofficial biographer. I mean, how many parents do you know who speak out about their child's story on TV, in newspapers, in documentaries? It's shocking, unusual, and it's one of the very reasons this conversation hasn't died down for even a second. Take, for instance, Archie's birth certificate. Remember that? Oh, people thought it was just another royal document, routine paperwork. But no, weeks later, the palace quietly revised it. And let me tell you, the whispers that followed were deafening. At first it listed Rachel Meghan Markle, plain and simple, but then, puff, gone. Suddenly, she's no longer Rachel Meghan Markle. She's Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Sussex. Just like that. Administrative update? Sure. But in the eyes of the public, it screamed of deliberate polishing, as if they wanted the paperwork to shimmer with prestige. And darling, the palace said it was all about consistency, protocols, standards, the royal way of doing things. But behind closed doors, you can bet that change raised more than a few royal eyebrows. And that's the thing, isn't it? Royal paperwork doesn't move fast. They don't scratch out mistakes with a biro and say, "Oops, sorry." They take their sweet time, combing over every comma and every title until it's perfect. So when revisions come weeks later, people start asking, what's going on? Why now? Why then? And is this just formatting, or is it more? And let's be honest, the monarchy is obsessed with detail. Centuries of history, shelves stacked with documents, all lined up like pearls in a necklace. Every title, every name, every birth, polished and perfected for the record books. That's why these updates, even if they seem tiny, feel monumental. They're not just clerical notes, they're pieces of a much bigger puzzle that people love to pick apart. And speaking of puzzles, Meghan's Northwestern University years? Oh, honey, they're another chapter that people can't stop scrutinizing. Officially, she graduated in 2003 with degrees in theater and international studies. The math, if you trust the 1981 birth year, adds up neatly. Enter at 18, graduate at 22. Perfect, right? Too perfect, some would say. Because when you peek at those old photos, oh, the ones plastered across alumni boards and scattered across dusty yearbooks, there's something intriguing. Some of her classmates look like typical fresh-faced teens. But Meghan, side by side, whispers grew. Did she look older? Did she blend seamlessly? Or stand out as if her timeline didn't quite match? In universities, sure, you always have students from different stages of life. But when a father insists the timelines don't line up, suddenly every old photo becomes a clue. And here's the heartstopper. Thomas himself stepping in with claims. Not just casual musings, but accusations that this timeline could be off. That her age, the very number stamped across every official record, may not be what we've all been led to believe. For Meghan, who's built her life on carefully crafted narratives, this kind of bombshell from her own father feels less like family drama and more like a devastating betrayal. From here, the script plunges into her Hollywood rise, the glittering world of Suits, the royal wedding fairy tale, and the social media storm that made Meghan both adored and despised. And through it all, Thomas's voice echoes, sometimes bitter, sometimes sorrowful, sometimes almost pleading. We see him reflected in paparazzi shots, buying his groceries, standing on sidewalks, looking nothing like the polished royals on magazine covers. Yet every time his voice pierces through, people lean in. Because, love it or hate it, Thomas Markle keeps poking holes in Meghan's perfect timeline. By the time the narrative circles back to the royal wedding of 2018, with its fairy lights and global spectacle, the contrast is almost too much. Meghan was presented as the flawless new duchess, her biography polished to shine brighter than her tiara. But in the background, a father saying, "Wait a minute, that's not how I remember it." And darling, that's why this story refuses to die. And let's not forget the digital frenzy this sparked. What began as a dusty magazine clipping has now exploded into one of the most addictive online obsessions. Reddit threads are overflowing. TikTok videos are dissecting Meghan's old photos frame by frame, and YouTube commentators are spinning theories faster than the palace can release statements. One tiny misprint, if it even was a misprint, has become the kind of modern legend that fuels gossip mills for years. Because here's the thing, darling, in today's digital age, nothing stays hidden. Every record, every photo, every offhand comment is dragged out, magnified, and judged under the harshest of spotlights. And Meghan, once the fairy tale bride, now finds herself trapped in a tug-of-war between glossy narratives and jagged truths. Thomas's accusations don't just sting, they cut deep. A father stepping forward to say, "The story isn't what you think it isn't just a family rift. It's a public drama, a spectacle the world devours." And Meghan's silence, her refusal to play into these swirling debates, almost makes the whispers louder. Is silence strength or is it strategy? And that's why this story won't fade, no matter how many palace press releases come out or how many charity events Meghan headlines. Because at the center of it all lies a single haunting question. If her age could be questioned, if something as simple as a birth year can spark doubt, then what else might not be as it seems? Darling, this isn't just gossip anymore. It's history, rewritten in real time with the whole world watching, and trust me, we're not done talking about it yet.